Alrighty folks, this is Lurch from Ireland Gaming and welcome back to another episode of From the Depths. I have been recently playing around with submarines and figuring out how to build one. This is attempt number 2. I'm pretty happy with it. I'm sort of taken to calling this guy the Catfish. He's got these little whisker things on the front. He's cute. I like him. He's got a 71-ish millimeter cannon, quad barrel that shoots 4 long AP shells. It doesn't do a lot of damage. It's got like 8 regular 1 meter autoloaders on the inside, but the whole thing squeezes into a fairly compact little box, so I'm quite happy with it, but I think I would be better using belt feeders for this purpose. Yeah, it goes at about 11-12 meters a second. It's very, very compact on the inside. We'll see. Well, we have a bunch of ammo barrels at the back. Let's shrink things down so we can actually see. So we have ammo barrels and an AI at the back, and that AI is dedicated for the top gun. There's a couple of ACBs there. One of them is to set the drive fraction so that it keeps going forward all the time. These bottom 3 are for the hydrofoils. One's, when it's below a certain altitude, tells it to angle upwards. The center one resets it to 0 every 0.5 seconds, and the one above it, the third one, whenever it goes above a certain altitude, it will tell the hydrofoils to go back down again. So this thing hovers somewhere between 45 and 55 meters depth, which is pretty cool. It's got a very, very little engine. This is actually the same one from my microjet, the thrustercraft tutorial. This is the shell here. It's a good old-fashioned Sabot, only I've used a super cavitation base here. Now the reason I've went with Sabot heads is underwater, these supercavitation bases only mitigate 90% of the slowdown, and the turrets don't account for this, so slower shells don't work very well because they tend to miss the target, so you have to take that into consideration. Your range is quite significantly nerfed by these supercavitation rounds as well. Now we're going down to the back of the ship again. I got lost all the time here. This is the main AI. It's got the sailing setup, our naval AI, set 600, 800. You can see it there. It's nothing flashy, just set the depth requirement and told to disable reverse. And here we have some fairly nasty 8-meter missiles. Just a very, very basic missile setup, like one rack, or one controller, 2 launchers, and a missile, a friend or foe. I think there's a staggered fire here as well with a full second delay. These are explosive rockets. Bring it up for you there quickly. So I don't want them blowing each other up. Very simple. But yeah, this isn't why I'm here. I actually would like to build, much like I did with the gun dog, I'm going to build a ship for you guys, another submarine. I'm thinking maybe 4 times the size of this guy, and you guys can make suggestions on how to improve it. And this is in a way, sort of a way for you guys to teach me how to play. So yeah, we're going to move on to start building a significantly bigger version of this little fella. Okay, so I'm thinking about this tall. Should be good, and we want it to be pretty long, because aerodynamics is kind of the same as hydrodynamics in this game. Well, in real life too. They're both fluids technically, so we're going to try and keep it long and thin so we can maintain a reasonable speed without having a huge amount of thrust. So that's pretty big. That should be. As far as armament's concerned, I'm thinking maybe one big cannon on the top, something a little bit better than the other one. It's going to be probably like squashed flat, kind of like I did in the turret stacking tutorial, but I'm thinking maybe go with something with a much higher gauge. We want it to be a little bit wider so I can get away with using less jet stabilizers to keep it flat. I'm thinking we go for hydrofoils at the front again and have like more stabilizers at the back to keep everything level. So I'm going to get going with the Okay, so that's a few of the basics put in. We have an engine. I put in one of these funky new fuel storage boxes, one of the big ones, just for extra explodey factor. We have a basic shell customizer. I'm not sure if this is the shell we're going to use. Went with a very, very fast HE supercavitation. I might be better just going with the AP again and having a higher gauge. So if I put it way up here, I mean, we're getting much, much higher muzzle velocity. But I don't know. I'll have to toy with that, but we'll see. I haven't built the cannon yet, although I should really have that in mind before I do that thing. Some good old-fashioned missiles here. Haven't decided exactly what type yet, but that should be a good pile. And we have these nasty 8-long torpedoes at the front. So I am going to cut and have a little think about what I'm going to do, and then I'm going to come back and do some more building. So be right back. Alrighty, so I had a little think about what sort of cannon I want to put on top of this thing, and I had a tinker with the little shells. So I pulled them back a little bit. They're now a 5-meter shell. I'm thinking of going with an 80mm, maybe up to 100, but I think I'll go with a twin firing piece, just for cool factor, and go with a belt-fed system. The reason I've pulled the gauge way down, or decided to go with a much smaller gauge, is I want it to fit into a 1-meter rack so I can belt feed it. Simple as that. I'm going back to the Sabot idea. The main reason being supercavitation bases and their 90% speed modifier, they kind of hurt the accuracy unless you've got a really fast shell, and getting a HE shell up to that speed requires either a stupid big gun with a really, really long barrel and lots of gunpowder, or just forego it altogether, because you already get a damage penalty for using a supercavitation base and a high explosive or a flak shell. I also popped a weapon controller on there, and I think it's time to get back to building. I think it's cannon time. Yep, it's cannon time. Okay, so we have 3 belt-fed loaders and as many recoil dampers as I could cram onto this thing. I still have to hook up the input feeders. Gotta add them on now. I think I need 30 of them to get this guy going. It's only 3 belt feeders, so it's not going to have a particularly good sustained damage before it has to reload, but it can reload fairly quickly, so it's all a balance thing. Its sustained DPS won't be much different. It could do with more loaders, but I've tried to keep this as flat and small as possible, so it's very, very compact. And it all squeezes into 3 layers on the inside. I just have to put armor on the outside now. So, that is next on the agenda, probably. No, I'll put the armor on after. I think I should probably flesh out the hull a little bit first. So, let's get these bits on, and then I'll start fleshing the hull out. Okay, so we have a rough shape for the hull. It's pretty skinny, so I think I'm gonna put like water wings or something out a little bit to make it, to put the jet stabilizers on to make it a little bit more stable. Where is our center of mass? Shrinky shrink. Oh, right, no, we don't set it the turret. There we are there. So I could put wings on the side roughly about here. We have water wings. This is like the third submarine I've ever built ever. Except for the unintentional ones, of course. You know, the planes that want to be submarines. That happens quite often too. But yeah, I think I'm going to carry on and put some sort of water wings on, and we can get some propulsion set in, and I have to stick a wee AI in as well. And of course we have to put armor on this turret too. And put ammo barrels in too, I'm noticing. So, more speedy up time. Alright, so I want to add a couple of jet stabilizers to this thing. These keep it level on the surface as far as roll is concerned, you know. So a couple of jet stabilizers go a long way in keeping this thing stable in the water. Otherwise, you tend to get it flying way off base and getting into trouble. We don't want that. So a couple of these guys should keep everything nice and level. Now I'm going to put my hydrofoils in here as well, but actually, no, I'm not. I'm going to put the hydrofoils at the front. Now, hydrofoils work a little bit like wings, basically. So, like I say, wings are, it's the same as the water. So, I want to put them at the front here, and this basically gives us more control there. So, let's just put them on now. I don't think I'm going to need very many. If you put them quite far away from your center of mass, like even here, this is very far away. So let's leave room for a slope in front of it. Do 4 there. Put a nice shapely metal block in front of it to reduce our drag, and that should work. I just need to put the ACBs in, which I think can go up here where it's relatively safe. Now setting up hydrofoils. First of all, you want to set one that triggers every couple of seconds to set them to go level. Well, I actually set it to 0.5 because it doesn't make that much difference. What this does is reset your hydrofoil to 0, so the second that it goes over its threshold to trigger the other ones, it'll go level again. And this means that it shouldn't keep going up and down as much. It gives it a little bit more stability. Now, next you want to set activate when altitude greater than input. We want to set our hydrofoils and set hydrofoil angle. Now, when altitude is greater than, this is the upper limit. So whenever you hit this greater than limit, you want to be going downwards. So I've found that the last ship works quite well at about 48. So let's go 40, 45. Oh wait, no, that's the angle. It's this one I want to change. So at negative 48, we want to pitch the hydrofoils downwards. So when they're at the front, we need to go to negative, probably only like negative 3 or negative 4. And that will turn the hydrofoils down to a negative of 3 degrees and start pitching the nose of the submarine downwards. if we test that here, you'll see they have pitched ever so slightly. No, they haven't actually, because they keep getting reset. But yeah, so whenever they're above this angle, they should pitch down ever so slightly. They might actually be set there. It's just such a small angle you can't really notice it. Next, we need to set up our lower angle, and this is when active and when altitude less than input. We want to set hydrofoil, set hydrofoil angle. We want to set it to an upwards angle this time of 3 degrees, and we want to set this to be the lower limit. Now I like to set this like really close to the other one, because that means that as soon as it hits that other threshold, it'll start pitching up and try to stabilize its path as sort of quickly as possible. I'm not sure exactly how necessary that is. I haven't been playing much with submarines, and this is one of the reasons I'm doing this, is so that you guys can teach me exactly what I'm doing wrong. Now, next, I want to add one for drive fraction. And this means that the ship will continue to go forward all the time, regardless of what the AI wants to do. We want to set desired speeds, not to set the drive fraction, sorry. We want to set our water speed, probably all the way up to 5. And that's... oh wait, not altitude, activate every blah 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 seconds, that's better. Okay. So that should be the hydrofoils configured. Just need to put some... well, I need to put an AI in quickly, and I'll get the propulsion on. And let's see if we can get this thing under the water now, because we're nearly there. Just need to put armor on the turret now, but let's test this first and make sure it actually floats correctly. We are going down. That is promising. No, don't do that. I want to see the forces to see what this thing's doing. Okay. This is not good. Why are you spinning? Have I got these backwards? See, I'm not sure if there is actually a forwards or backwards for these things, but there certainly seems to be. You are still not working. Oh, I know why. It's because I have it on the inside facing that way. They have to be faced the correct direction, don't they? There we go. So it depends on that orientation. It's this orientation that is the deciding factor. That is very interesting. I learned something. Hurrah! Sweet. So that means that it floats. Where are we? What altitude? Minus 50. We're descending rapidly. Why are we going down? Not enough thrust. Okay. Surely you can go better than that. You is not. Why is you not? Okay, let's just rescue it. Gonna need some bigger ones then. Gosh darn it. Oh, I know what else we can try. What else we can do is we can set the hydrofoil angle higher, because we're using a really, really low angle. So let's up this to... no. Do -5, please. And see what we can do. See, they're providing a lot more lift now. And we are rising. Nice! Okay. Well, we have this lovely casual voyage back up to a reasonable altitude. I imagine we'll probably come spitting out of the water at an alarming rate. I'm going to stick some armor in this turret. Okay, we have our armor in the turret. Huzzah! Looks pretty good, I think. It's pretty simple, basic design, but it does the trick. And this seems to be set maybe a little bit too high. I think I have too many hydrofoils now. Maybe it's the angle that they're at rather than the lift. Hard to know. Maybe I just haven't got enough of these on the back. But they're not providing a lot of thrust. Our altitude is way, way down. So I'm not sure why it's not swimming stably. Do we still need more hydrofoils? Maybe we need more. We're going up again now. Okay, let's set them higher. They're at the front. They were at the back in the last ship. I set this to -7 and +7, and we'll see what you do now. Oh, I never did configure the missiles. Let's do that quickly. Okay, that's the missiles configured quickly. I just went for some basic pop rockets like I made in my campaign series. Fairly simple idea, just they're them are not ballast, ballast tanks, and they allow the missiles to have a positive buoyancy. Now these do have ejectors as well, so they'll make a fairly good effort at pushing it out of the water themselves, but this way it will do a bit of a better job. It'll get more elevation. I also put a 1 turn and a delay on the variable thruster so that it takes 4 seconds before it actually kicks off. And that means it'll get fairly high into the air before it'll start to fire. Right, so I haven't even looked at the recoil force on these. It's actually 2,500. I'm really happy with that. That's very, very good. So I think it's nearly time to test this guy. Yeah, it seems to be floating fairly stably where the altitude I want it, so... Oh, here's an idea. Let's save it. Now, I'm going to save this as... Oh, I don't know. Looks a bit like a Barracuda or something like that, but I'm going to save it just as... Submarine. And you guys are going to name it for me. So... Submarine, saved. And like I say, make suggestions for names in the comments and make some suggestions for improvements too. This is like the 3rd submarine I've ever built, so it's probably going to be a big pile of horse shit, but let me know what you think. Right now I'm going to probably start testing it against things, so I will leave you with some footage of me shooting stuff. So I really hope you enjoyed the episode. Any likes, subs or comments are really, really awesome. I love hearing from you guys and I do my best to reply to every single comment. As always, take it handy and have a bloody good day.